Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures, and very often they're celebrities, and they come in the form of actors, singers, artists, royals, criminals. But today I will be looking at a business mogul. He's the owner or the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, and that is the one and only Elon Musk. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy that there is finally a birth time on Astro.com. It has a B rodent rating. I mean, I would prefer it be an A, but let's just use it. Let's just use it. And if his birth time changes and the chart changes, I'll happily do amendments. But let's just do this thing, shall we? Because he's been in the news lately. He backed Donald Trump. He's gone to some those big Republican meetings. He seems to be quite popular. The red pill manosphere love him as well. Like, he's literally like taking over the world, among other worlds. Like, he's trying to, with his SpaceX project, he wants to colonize Mars. Like, it's kind of wild. So yeah, he really is shooting for the stars and beyond. So I wanted to look at his chart, just see what he's about, and understand him a little bit more. Before I dive in, I just want you guys to know I have availabilities for readings in December. By the time I release this video, December readings may or may not be closed, because they've almost filled up at this point in time as I record this, but January should be open. So if you'd like a reading with me, you like my work, it's the best way to support me. You can book a reading, and it's limited. They're limited spots. I think there's about they're limited. It's only a few weeks that I'm doing this. So if you want it, book it now. They fill up quite quickly. Also, I do MP3 readings. So if you're socially anxious, you don't want to meet anyone, you can actually just purchase an MP3 reading. They're 15 minutes, a recording of my voice tearing up your chart. I do transits, synastries, and full chart readings. And then I do 5-minute focus readings, which is for a specific area in your chart or a specific area of your life that you would like insight. You'd like some insight using your chart. So yeah, that's the best way to support me. And thank you so much. Brought to you by our sponsor, me. Okay, so let's dive into Elon Musk's chart now. With this B rodent rating, with the time that they've given, he is a Cancer rising, Sun, and Mercury. He has a Venus in Gemini, and then he's got a Mars in Aquarius. Savage Mars, savage placement. He needs to be, if this is in the right house, if this Mars is in the 8th house, he needs to watch his back. Let me tell you, a North Node with Mars in the 8th house. Ooh. And then he's got a Virgo moon. Okay. All right. So where shall we start? Let's talk about the Cancer placements, because, you would think, oh, a Cancer, they're so sweet and sensitive and they care about the world. I think he thinks he does. Cancer is a very sensitive placement, but you got to remember, Sun is ego. So if the Sun is a masculine planet, so when it's shining in a very feminine sign like this, their arrogance, their self-expression is very often going to come out as, it might come out as emotion or compassion, or because he wants to save the world. Sorry, I've got some kind of cat hair in my eye. I've got a lot of cats in my house. He wants to save the world. That's like that Princess Diana energy. Princess Diana, by the way, is a totally different human being, like species of human. I'm being quite literal there. She's like a very different person to Elon Musk. But when a Cancer sun is shining brightly, they're going to do very well in fields where it looks like they're going to help people, where they want to help people. And I think he does want to help people, but in servicing, in giving service to the world and trying to help the world and save the world, it's really just him propping himself up, like being an emperor. Like, he has emperor energy. And the way emperors climb to power, if they're not born into it and they've got to work their way there, they will play off the emotions of others. They will work with the vulnerabilities of other people. If you're hungry, I can feed you. If you need clothes, I will give the clothes off my back to you. I will be kind. I will be generous. I would, and that's how he exerts his power and influence. It's very compassionate. It seems very compassionate. He wants to save the world to rule it. Does that make sense? He wants to save the world. He genuinely wants to save the world. He also wants to colonize Mars. He wants to save the world and save humanity in order to rule over it. He has his sun in the same sign as his rising, so if this is right, he's a first houser, which would make him, yes, he's a Cancer, a very Aries kind of Cancer, a very self-concerned person. And yeah, if the sun, it does count as a conjunction on the ascendant. That's very self-concerned. It's also very charming. I know he's autistic as shit. I get that. And autistic people are awkward, but he does have a charm. He does have I think he has charisma. You can be autistic and be charismatic. You can be awkward and be charismatic. And he has that in spades. I think he's quite engaging. I've seen him in the Joe Rogan podcast. I've seen him, present on stages. I've seen him. And as awkward as he is kind of a star. Like, he's very good at being a celebrity, I think. It's very interesting. He's got Mercury on the ascendant, if this is his correct time. So he's a gifted communicator. Certainly with a microphone in front of his face. Maybe in his interpersonal relationships, maybe it's not the best. Like, there's a lot of evidence to show that he's not that great with the women and children in his life. But when it comes to having, a relationship with the public, it does very well. I mean, Mercury on the ascendant is someone who knows how to use a microphone. That's someone who is going to voice their opinions, and very often they are listened to. So if I just scroll outwards, I just want to see what this is squaring. Yeah, Uranus. That's a bit of a mad genius placement. Uranus square. Oh, Uranus squaring the sun. It's in the 3rd house, but plays into the 4th. Lilith as well. Girls didn't like him. He's got Pluto in the 3rd as well. He got bullied at school, didn't he? He got bullied at school, girls rejected him, and that's what's kind of driven him to want to be Mr. Popular. I want people to love me. He wants people to love him. He's very insecure about that. That's why he wants to exert power. It's that nerd at school, and instead of growing up to be this kind, generous, loving person, I think that's how he perceives himself to be. Like, oh, look at me saving the world. He's turning into a tyrant. So it just, yeah. If you love him, he's this kind, generous, humanitarian businessman who's going to save the world. If you don't like him, he's an egomaniacal, power-hungry colonizer. So, pirate. He's a pirate, right? His North Node with Mars is a pirate. Anyway, but yeah, having malefics in the 3rd house, there's disruption with his peers and his schoolmates. That could also indicate, like, trouble with girls as well, like from an early age. Like, he just is a bit of a misfit. And if we look at that Uranus and Uranus and Lilith in Libra playing into the 4th house, which it does because the IC marks out that 4th house. That's a bit of a dysregulated, strange environment to grow up in. Like, he didn't grow up with a normal mummy and daddy situation. He had a mummy and a daddy, but it just, Lilith is here. Was the mother highly strung? Does anyone know anything about his mother? I know his mother was a gorgeous supermodel, so that's probably, his mother is stunning. So that's his model. Like, that's his that's what he bases that's the, what do you call it? That's who he bases all his relationships off, is the mother figure. But I feel like the mother figure wasn't the healthiest person. I'm wondering if she was, I don't doubt she loved him. It seems like they have a pretty close relationship, but she seems like a bit of a superficial person. And if you look at the choices of women that he's been with, they've been superficial choices. I don't want to suggest that Grimes. She seems like she's a legit, like, artistic, she seems like a musical genius, like an artistic genius. But his choice to, like, it was a superficial reason why he wanted to be with her. I perceive it as superficial. He wanted to produce genius babies. He's a Cancer, which is one of the parents, right? Cancer is the parent sign, very invested in family. He cares about family and those traditional things. But look at the way he's expanding his family. You know, it's with tyranny. He's very particular about who he chooses. Allegedly, Johnny Depp's wife, Amber Heard, that's allegedly one of the women that has given birth to one of his children. They were fighting over eggs. So, yeah, I think he's made some interesting choices. Some of them have been superficial choices. That doesn't mean the women have been superficial, but his reasoning behind picking them, it probably wasn't because of some soul connection. I don't think it was that. I think it was other reasons. I think it's, oh, she's pretty, or she's smart, or we would make genius children, or we would make pretty children, or we would. That's what it's giving. It's very strategic, as very strategic choices. The mothers of his children have been all quite beautiful as well. Actually, even Grimey's quite pretty. Even if she's a bit strange, but she's kind of a mad genius. Look at the way he's treating her, by the way. He also has Venus. Oh, what's that squaring? Ooh, Pluto square Venus. Yeah. Venus in the 12th house. Forbidden love. He may be a cheater. Venus in the 12th house is love without boundaries. And Venus in Gemini is a fuckboy Venus. You can like root around and have sex with all these gorgeous, talented women, and he never really has to pay for hurting them, really. I do think that with Pluto squaring, though, if Pluto squares it, maybe one day one of these, he might fuck with the wrong crazy bitch. Pluto square Venus. One day he might fuck around with the wrong bitch. Because if they're getting younger and younger, one day he'll get into a relationship with some girl who's a Gen Z, and she might frame him for something he didn't do. That's like, if he's been doing fuck shit with women for many years, one day he'll get his. One day he'll pay for something that he didn't do, and that's the karma. That might be the karma for all the shit he's done before. So we'll see what happens. Uranus does trine Uranus in Libra. Yeah, that Uranus trines that Venus as well. So he wants women who are beautiful and smart. And I know I said before he has very superficial choices. That doesn't sound superficial, but like I said, he's not basing his choices on any kind of like deep soul connection. It's more like eugenics. Like, can we make a great looking and smart baby that can rule one of the continents on Mars that I he's building a little empire, and he's certainly picked his favorite child, the child he's had with Grimy. The son, that seems to be his, he's gonna rule Mars one day. Who knows? Jupiter in the 5th house does indicate a lot of children, and he's got 10 kids. Virgo moon square with Jupiter. What also squares it? Saturn square moon. He's not that nurturing. I think he outwardly projects that he's nurturing, but behind closed doors, he's not nurturing. Like Virgo moon, at their worst, they can be one of the most emotionally stupid moon signs to have. Super intelligent in other ways, like Virgo moons are super nerdy, hyper nerdy, very smart in an intellectual way. They might be very good at playing with chemicals and measuring things out in the science lab. Very precise, but they might be very good at exercise as well. I think they need that in order to decompress. But at their worst, it's not the best moon to have, especially when it's squared off like that. Listen, if you're a Virgo moon, I'm not saying you're a psychopath, but if you got a Virgo moon, you got a lot of potential. You got a lot of potential to be that way. Is he a psychopath? I think he's just autistic, and I think he's an autistic little emperor who can go on a power trip, and he could be ruthless. Is he a psychopath? Maybe a little bit. It's a spectrum, right? Maybe a little bit. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just a girl that reads charts. So, yeah. Let's talk about this. The North Node of Destiny lying in a conjunction with the planet that he wants to take over in the sign of Aquarius, technology. Huh. Interesting. Like, that South Node is in his second house in Leo, born into wealth. He was born a little prince. I think his parents are wealthy, aren't they? He was born into some wealth. And then he earns, like, he's going to be earning his wealth and putting away a lot of money. He's got a North Node with Mars in the 8th house of legacy. This is his legacy. Mars is his legacy. If we do end up going to Mars, oh, that's war, though. A North Node with Mars is going to war. And he is colonizing Mars. I wonder what's going to happen with that. It's going to make him wealthy. Mars trines Venus. So that's good for money, because Venus is another wealth planet. He'll get rich from it. He's going to literally profit a lot of this, but it's going to put him in danger. Mars in the 8th house is not the greatest placement if you are making a lot of enemies, because if you make a lot of enemies, Mars in the 8th house, they might come after you. It looks like Jupiter square Mars. It's not the worst placement. I'm figuring that one out. Oh, his children might resent him. They might fuck up his legacy, because it's Jupiter in the 5th house. It's a lot of children, but the Jupiter's retrograde. The children might not turn out the way he wants them to, and that squares that Mars. It might hurt his ambition, like his project. Some of his children are going to be dysfunctional, and it's because he's neglected them. Like, I don't see him being the most nurturing father. I think he has his favorites. He picks and chooses who he likes. But the children that are dysfunctional, or he perceives them as dysfunctional, the children that he neglects, the disappointing children and the children that he neglects, they will try and fuck up his plans. That's that square there. Jupiter in the fifth house is children. 8th house is legacy. He might leave them without anything, though. He might leave them, like, he might not give them any money if they're disappointing. But he will have money left behind, that's for sure. He'll have a legacy, and it's a lot. It has something to do with SpaceX with this. This is SpaceX. Like, literally, Aquarius is technology. Mars is the planet he wants to take over, and the North Node is destiny. Playing out in the 8th house of legacy. That's the thing he's going to leave behind. Colonies on Mars. If it works out, it makes sense. He's got Saturn here, and it's in the 11th. So he does have trouble with his image, but because he's got Gemini on the 12th house cusp, I could see that Saturn playing into the 12th. Was his dad gone? Like, even if dad was on business trips all the time, was his dad also absent? Can someone help me in the comments? Because I don't know much. I know he's from South Africa. I know his mum was a model. It seems like his mum is a bit more involved in his upbringing. He's quite close to his mum. But does anyone know anything about his dad? Does his dad fuck off and treat his mum bad? Like, because he doesn't have healthy relationships with women. Even if he is close to his mum, he's not nice to other women. And maybe his mum plays a part in that as well. Like, maybe the mum's a bit of a psycho. Anyway. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Elon Musk. Venus is great. He's got the biggest fuckboy Venus. Biggest fuckboy Venus. Ugh. I'm sorry. As a Venus and Taurus, like, I just can't. I can't with a Gemini Venus. You guys scare the shit out of me. Not the women, the men. The men scare me. Gemini Venuses scare me. Air, nothing. There's no substance. All style, no substance. A lot of chatter and all the promises are broken. Like, I can't with a Gemini Venus. I just absolutely cannot. Anyway, much love. Much loved, guys. If you enjoy my work, and you want to get a reading, that is available for December and January, and I've got the MP3 readings, and I also have YouTube members where I put out extra content there. It's a great way to support me. Thank you so much, and much love to all of you. Bye.